and you're in the right place if you want to grow in love. Welcome, everybody. Today, our theme is healing the past. And I'm looking forward to hearing your comments and so forth and reading some of them. I'm not seeing my chat right now. So welcome, everybody. I want to make sure I'm being heard. If Helena, if you're there, if you could put something in the chat box. Not seeing the chat box today. Today's theme is healing the past, and we'll be exploring one of the most important things that I can share with people. And I see a few people have arrived. You can say hello. We'll take a few minutes. Okay, Molly, hi. Thank you. So I know we're working now and waiting for a few people to come on. This is the theme today, is healing the past. And I think what we have to realize is that the more you love your partner, the more you feel bonded to your partner, safe, deeper issues will come up. And those deeper issues come up, and then they keep you from feeling safe, and they get suppressed again. And relationships are all about just having deep issues come up, couples arguing, not feeling safe with each other, and then pushing their feelings down again. And then life gets better again. Their feelings from the past come up, and they tend to argue. They tend to form bad beliefs. Oh, I can't talk to him. She's not good enough for me. I don't know if I want to be here. I feel victimized. I feel unloved. I feel, we form these beliefs that say, I'm not loved. I'm not safe. And then we push down all of our emotions again. And it's just this ongoing cycle of getting better. Stuff comes up. We push it back down through affirming that we're not safe. And welcome, everybody. I see you're coming in. I'll say hello to various people. Molly, hi. Kaylor, hi. Washington, Estonia, TV, Nancy. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Laik. Hi, John. I see so many people coming in. I'm just going to see who's here today. Because we need to, I know many people come in a little later, and I don't want to give the most important idea out, but I'll do it right now, which is that our stuff is always going to be coming up when you fall in love. If you stay single, you can avoid a lot of your stuff from coming up, and you can still be a happy person and fulfilled to various degrees. But if you want to go for the gusto and be all that you can be, it's good to be in a relationship, and the relationship that triggers your feelings inside. You feel safe, your stuff comes up, and then you're able to, hopefully, many of you have been listening to me for quite a while, to realize that what happens in present time is a trigger to bring up unresolved issues in our past. And that's why we need to learn how to heal our past. But you can't even get to healing your past, to really go deep into it, until you're in a relationship where you feel deep safety, where you feel deep intimacy. Now, you can basically not feel totally safe in a relationship, but then you suddenly have sex, that will bring up your stuff as well. So that's why you don't want to just jump into sex. Sex is like powerful to affect our hormone levels in our body, so that these feelings of the past will come up and they'll sabotage your relationship. And so if we just think that what we feel in present time is about what's happening now in present time, we'll always avoid healing the past and just create feelings of, I'm not safe, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve love, my partner's wrong, I can't get what I need, this partner is not this, not this, not this. And that could be true, they're not this, not this, but the fact that you're with them and they brought up these feelings, it means it's a chance to heal, where we can look at healing our past by realizing the 90-10 principle, which is 90% of whatever negative reaction you have in present time is 90% of it is your past. And you can't just know what it is. We don't know the past is not here. It's just right here in front of us, until you start learning how to heal issues of your past and to recognize them. And the way you do that, one way to do that, this profound, is when you're upset in present time, you write the feeling letter. You express your feelings of anger and sadness and fear and regret, as if what you're upset about is really what's causing you to be upset. So you pretend you've got to, like, we watch the movies, right? It's real, but it's not real. That's what we want. We want to have this observer self, this wise self that can listen to these feelings in present time as if they're real, and they're not, meaning they're real feelings, but they're based upon a fantasy. They're based upon misinterpreting reality. It's based upon misinterpreting reality. It's an overreaction. It's an irrational response. We are irrational beings. Emotions are non-logical. When we're reacting to right now as if everything that's bothering me is right now. That's never the case. It's never the case, unless your feelings are no big deal and it's a little frustration, little disappointment, and they're not evoking a stress response, which inhibits your ability to feel love, to see what's true. So we want to be able to, stand back and hear that part of us as if it's like a movie. We're just actors in a movie acting out irrationality, but not believing it, not really making real life decisions on it, not buying into it, but using this moment, this overreaction in the moment, to experience the emotions associated with it. When you can connect with the emotions, you're connecting with your body. You see, a thought is not so much your body. A feeling is, I feel like you, I feel like you're not good enough, I feel like I can't be myself. That's somewhat close to your body. But when I feel like I'm not loved, I feel alone, I feel inadequate, what's the emotion that goes with that? Emotions are physical and mental and spiritual at the same time. They're all those things together when you get in touch with your emotions. So then you feel your emotions and you process your emotions, bringing it back to the emotion of desire and the emotion of love, and then comes some understanding. The understanding is I'm overreacting, but you also will feel love and support. And you're imagining, you're processing your negative emotions, then you use your imagination to imagine the situation changing and giving you the support you need. You write a feeling letter and you imagine your partner saying wonderful things to you, what it is they need to say so you'll feel safe again. You imagine that. And then you look at how it makes you feel. Now, that's the first step. You do that. And now you're in touch with the emotions. Then when you're writing those feelings letters, then you can start to go, where in my past did I have those same kind of emotions, but they were based on reality? Because you see, a child experiences emotions, and there's logical reason. There's a logical reason why they feel those emotions, because they don't have a brain which is developed in order to see reality. For example, if your parents are punishing you, you have no choice but to feel you're bad. If somebody punishes me today, I have a choice. I can say, I'm not bad, you're bad. You see, we can develop our intelligence. So we can look through what is reality with our prefrontal cortex, with our awareness, with our spiritual knowledge, with our wisdom. Children don't have that. They just have raw love. They're just open. They're appreciative, they're loving, but they're vulnerable they're in a state of suggestion. They're making theta brain waves, the same brain waves of dream state. They're not like us. And that's who we were. And we were open to feeling blame, that if you're blamed, then you're not good enough. If your parents are unhappy, you assume the wrong thing, that somehow I caused it and I'm responsible for everything and I'm a failure. These are the issues that go on in childhood, and you've forgotten them all. You can't access them. This is like, are you good at remembering your dreams? Some might be. And that's what we want to do, is try to go back and remember the dream state of growing up. And it's all a dream. And until you get to like 28 years old, and then it's still a dream, because you're living in the past, you're overreacting, but you have the ability to go back and feel those emotions and heal them by reprogramming your brain to not believe it. But it all has to do with, how do you get back to your childhood feelings? A lot of people just don't see that. I'm upset with my wife. I'm upset with my husband. What does this have? I'm upset with the government. I'm upset with this and that. How does that upset If you're upset there and you're not loving, well, let it go. And if you can't let it go, and that's called being stuck in negativity, you should always let it go. Let it be water off your back. Okay, I'm upset about this. Now I'm gone. You see, so I let myself feel upset about things and I let it go. And if I can't let it go, that means 90% of what I'm holding on to is prior unresolved issues. And it's not like you do it once and you're done. You know, I've been doing this for 40 years and still I have a little effect of it. Usually I can just go right through anything very quickly, but not always, not when I'm having a deep, intimate relationship. They'll always, when you're having sex with somebody, you have that much deep intimacy, deeper stuff will come up, deeper stuff will come up. There's no end to it, except that it increases your ability to let life's issues flow off of you. And when life's issues flow off of you so quickly, that means you're living in present time. And if you're totally living in present time, your desires are manifested in front of you. You're so in sync with now that you experience grace. Grace is the awareness that everything I want is here. Everything I need is here. Now, of course, part of that everything I want is that your wants are automatically aligned with universe. So it's not like you can just say, oh, okay, I want world peace and it happens. It's not like that. It's like you have a destiny. You have a potential. And so you're aligned with your heart and present time. The universe is here to support you in your potential manifesting. And we're all part of the universe and it's harmonious. It's supporting you. And when you're off track of yourself, the universe is supporting you and waking up to heal whatever keeps you from being in present time. And when you're in present time, your heart is open. When you're in present time, you have motivation. When you're in present time, you're happy. When you're present time, you have enthusiasm, a variety of positive emotions. And not always one I love all the time. Sometimes I'm happy all the time. Sometimes I'm enthusiastic. Sometimes I'm motivated. Sometimes I'm serious and determined, but in the context of confidence and motivation. And then sometimes ecstasy. You know, these are all aspects of our soul enjoying coming into this body, coming into this world. And that only happens when you're in present time. And anything that deviates from positive emotion means that you're not living right here now. And what's keeping you from being here now is your past, because you are here when you feel safe. When you go deep into opening your heart, stuff will come up. It doesn't all come up at once. It comes up like a layer at a time, and it will come up just what you can handle if you were to know how to handle it. Unfortunately, people don't know how to handle it. So what they do is they buy into it and they get all mad and they argue and they fight. And then you feel I'm not safe. And then when you feel I'm not safe, boom, stress hormones come up and they repress. All of your stress hormones repress. They repress emotions from your past. It's a mechanism. We now know that with PTSD, it's very obvious. I called this the trash can theory when I was long before PTS came along. I just saw that when you open your heart with someone, your stuff comes up like a trash can. Think of everything you push down your whole life. You've been pushing it into the trash can. You know how you feel sometimes when you're really upset, you want to hold a lid on it. So stuff is coming up. And so when we're traumatized and we don't have a brain that can process it, or a parent who's able to help us to process, although they can't help everything. We have our own stuff about misinterpreting reality. We don't have a brain to fully interpret reality. So what emotions come up, we push them down, we push them down. Now it's like put a lid on it, put a lid on it, put a lid on it. Then when we feel safe, and why do we push it down? Because we don't feel safe to express it. We don't feel safe to share that. We don't know how to share that. Maybe we're just crying and our parents can't give us understanding and so forth. So what happens is it's too painful to hold on to it. So the consciousness would go into a stress response. Cortisol will cause the repression of the pain. It will cause the numbness. It will numb you out. This is what PTSD is you go into a battle. It's very traumatic to your soul. So your soul just pushes it down. And to survive, you've got to continue functioning. You can't be living in fear. You've got to be fearless to go into battle, get out of there, whatever you have to do. So you can't fully process it when you're in danger. So cortisol pushes it down. And literally in your brain, cortisol has the function of breaking the connections to your memory to remember these traumatic things. It will push it down. But as soon as you feel safe, then it's no longer pushing it down. So the lid is on this trash can of stuff from your childhood and your past and every trauma you've ever had, even if it's the last marriage or whatever. You're pushing it down. Then you open up, your heart opens up, you feel safe with somebody, you take a risk, you're going to open up. Boom, what happens? One layer of stuff springs out. And now it comes up. And now you're living in the past, but it doesn't say, hey, I'm your unresolved issues of your past. It says, this is right now making me feel this way. And, you know, right now with this whole COVID craziness going on, this is where I'm going to get my vaccination. I feel safe. And then what comes up is everybody says the unvaccinated are terrible people. Why are they terrible people? They're not causing you any harm. You're the one who's vaccinated. You're protected, of course, except that they say that, it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. See, there's no logic here. If you have a vaccination, you're wearing a mask and whatever you think protects you, then you're fine. Why do you have to push that on somebody else? But they keep blaming other people for not being vaccinated. If they want to die, that's their choice. Or maybe they feel healthy and that's their choice to not take something because they're already immune. Maybe they've already had COVID. They have protection already. Why do we have to push everything on that? Why does everybody have to be vaccinated? We already know in Israel, for example, where there was like 90% or over 90% of the people were vaccinated, the Delta virus is still there. It doesn't stop. It spreads. If you have vaccinations, you can still get the virus now. They're seeing that. It's just you don't go to the hospital as much. And now in Israel, you're starting to go to the hospital more, which is why they're talking about doing the third booster shot. And they don't know what they're doing. They just want to control. They want to do that. And there's people who said, no, you can't control me. Don't tell me what to do. And this is called America. And this is freedom. This is people, having choice in your life. I can choose my medicine I want. How dare you? And I've been fighting this battle for the longest time. And I was canceled. I don't know if you know that, but my bank cut me off from selling products on my website. And eventually I was able to find a little bank that would do it. But this is how they'll control. They didn't cut me off. The government didn't do it. They'd have their little soldiers out there, and they got Facebook stopping things, YouTube stopping things, and the censorship is going on. So this is the craziness of our stuff coming up, imagining our fears are all about COVID. No, you take your vaccination, you feel safe, and then boom, your issues come up and you feel more unsafe. Your fears come up. Some people say, oh, I got to keep wearing my mask outside, even though I'm vaccinated. And people wear their mask. Oh, I want you to be vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, I'm mad at you. I hate you. And I wear my mask to protect you. Such crazy feelings, in marriage, the same thing, I'm just telling you what to do so you'll be a better person. No, you're controlling them. You're fearful. All your fears, all your issues, it's about your stuff. And we have to learn how to transform our stuff. And that's the theme of today, which is how to heal the past. Our stuff comes up. We can't look at our issues as real, even though on one level they're real, because the universe will mirror your stuff. So if your stuff is my partner is awful, but if your stuff is I don't deserve love, I have a terrible partner, then you'll end up not feeling worthy of love, and the universe will reflect on that and not give you love. So it really comes back to a lot of cliches that aren't fully understood how to do that, like love yourself. How do you love yourself? Just stand in the mirror and say, I love you. That could help a little bit, but you got to process your feelings of not feeling loved. And that goes all the way back to the past. If you felt love your whole life, you don't have to practice affirmations saying you're lovable, you're lovable. Although don't ever diminish affirmations. It's just, they're most powerful to affirm the truth, to hear the truth. It's most powerful when you first gotten down to the lies that are inside of you. You've got to hear the lies. You've got to see through the lies. And that's what's going on in the culture right now. This is a huge evolutionary shift. Some people are a lot of depressed about it. I can get easily caught into the whole COVID depression thing. They keep saying it's so bad. It's so bad. And it is horrible. They want to show people in hospitals. Then you have to realize that this is 0.1%. This is a tiny fraction of the world's population, and it's mostly people who are already sick, who are not taking responsibility for their health in most cases. And besides all of that, 600,000 people died. This is horrible, horrible thing. But all of them, 85% of them we're 15% were going to die soon anyway, for sure. And 85% of them were, we could have given them therapy. You know, there are therapeutics. There's ivermectin, there's oxychloroquine, there's the antibody treatments, all these treatments. There's these home treatments you can do. The antibody you can't do. It's $7,000, you know, but for $1 a day, you can do ivermectin. Have drug companies ever promoted a drug that they can't make a ton of money on? No way. It's called off-label. It's called off-label use, and there's no patent on it anymore. So the drug is cheap. They're not going to promote that. They're not going to tell you that. There was this big study being done on it, so to counter all, you know, it's 32 studies saying ivermectin will stop symptoms like that in a few days. My doctor gave me the ivermectin, stopped the symptoms in a few days. No big deal. And she's done it with so many people. However, having said that, I'm a relatively healthy person. Okay, so it's not going to cure everybody, whatever. Medicine is a complex thing. 5,000 people die a year in America of all these diseases and the various things. So, you know, health is our personal responsibility. And thank goodness we have a medical system for emergencies until it gets in the hands of corrupt pharmaceutical industry and we let them go out of control, which is what they've done. They've taken over the media. You look at all the commercials, you see they're the ones. And I can't help but talk about this. I know we want to talk about relationships and healing the past, but this is the big deception right now. When you believe the lie, you can't heal the past. You see, this is an example. I just want to give you the example. We have this horrible thing. First of all, it's a massive overreaction. It's a small part of the whole picture. And then you look at it, there is a reality. These people have died, and that's terrible. I don't want to see people die. So we have a serious thing. We should help people. And so what do? We tell them the only solution is vaccination. We have to vaccinate everybody. Impossible. It's never going to happen. And there are therapeutics that are cheap. In India, one of the provinces, I think Uttar Pradesh, where they had the dramatically low death count from COVID, they're just passing out ivermectin. They said, here, take this, take 3 of these. You're fine. This is so blown out of proportion, and it's horrible. Look at what's happening in Australia. These are examples of blowing things out of proportion and then buying into it, and then it gets worse and worse and worse. This is what they've done. And this is what we do in our relationships. We should stand back and go, okay, now how am I doing this in my life? You know, how am I making things worse than they really are? Now, think about this for a moment. I know for some of you go, what? Have you ever had an argument and then about something and then later on it was no big deal? That's because you were talking about thing and it wasn't a big deal then. How many times did we get upset and then it goes away? And then there's something else to upset us. I remember as a little boy, it was like my first sort of spiritual wisdom realization. I realized it because I remember 8 years old, I'm sharing with my mother, and she's already feeling like, oh, my son, he's going to be this great teacher one day. She saw it in me. She felt it ever since I was born. And, you know, mother's knowing, she kind of knew my destiny and purpose and so forth. But I was sharing with her the idea that, Mom, I noticed that I get upset about stuff, and then suddenly I move on to something else to be upset about, and then it goes away. It just sort of goes away. Whatever I was upset about kind of goes away, and then something else happens, and I'm realizing it's like a cycle. I'll go through certain upsets, and I go around them, and then they come back again, and I go through it again, and it comes around. The same issues will come back again and again. And that's called repeating patterns. We all have these repeating patterns, and every pattern will continue to repeat until we learn how to handle it better. And then it will repeat again until we learn how to handle it better. And we all come in with a series of these problems. And then later in life, I heard a little story about Buddha, where the man who came to Buddha and said, I have all these problems, you know, is there any way I can end these problems, solve these problems, Buddha? And Buddha said, no, everybody comes into this world with 84 problems. And that's why he divided them up into 84. And I presume what he meant is that more of one, less of another, but there's basically 84 problems, the way they would set up the problems. And he says, you can't solve any of them because you're on planet Earth. You can't, everybody's got problems. And that's true. Everybody's got problems. He said, but there's only one problem. There is one problem that you can solve. And he said, oh, what is that one problem? He said, the one problem you can solve is demanding that life be free from problems. And that you can learn to do. That's called acceptance, allowing. It's called forgiving. That's just seeing what is. There's problems, but don't resist the problems, because when you resist the problems, I shouldn't have this problem. I shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have to have a partner like this. You shouldn't be with her if she does this. All this resistance creates persistence. The problem will persist. That's a simple concept. Resist, and you will continue having the problem. But how do you stop the problem? You say, okay, you just basically let go of resistance and you process your emotions. See, that's what's missing. How do you, because if people walk all over you, how do you resist that? You have to say no to that, but then you have to find back to your center, which is not resisting that, but not putting yourself in that situation. And it doesn't mean running away from things. It means it's looking at your emotions of resistance. And you see, you can make choices. I can choose to go here, there, here without resisting. I don't resist jumping off a cliff. I just have wisdom not to jump off a cliff. I don't, we want to make choices in life, not from the negative emotions, but to make choices in life from the positive emotions. And when people say what you resist, you'll persist, what they mean is, if you have negative emotions about something, that's what your negative emotions are. They're all about resistance. Anger is about, I don't like this. I don't want, it shouldn't be this way. And sadness is, I expected, it shouldn't have been this way, and I thought this and I thought this. I had unrealistic expectations and I'm holding on to, but it should have been this way. And you should be this way is more the anger. And then there's the fear. It's the fear of what could happen now, resisting now the future. And then there's the guilt, which is resisting what you did. I'm not a lovable person because of what happened in the past. I want to change what happened in the past, but I can't. Instead of accepting that's what it is, let me learn a lesson from it. Let me try to make amends if that's appropriate, forgive myself if that's appropriate, understand it better so I don't make the mistake again, and readjust myself, become a better person. There you come down to these 4 elements. These 4 ways we resist things. And then you get in touch with the 5th way we resist things is by saying, I don't want. But you do that by saying what I want. So looking at what I really want, what I really want, what I really want. And then your 6th resistance, which is you don't feel the love. It's just now you go into, instead of not loving, you go into I appreciate, I love, I understand, I accept, I trust again. You come back to your positive emotions. And it's only intellectual unless you do it. And the sad truth that I know is I teach these ideas and not everybody will do it. You have to sit down with a piece of paper and do it. And you look in my books and you'll see how to do it as well. And there's examples of doing it and so forth. Right there in my famous book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, one of the later chapters in the book is the feeling letter technique, the love letter technique. And then almost every book, and I give examples of it. And you have to write out those feelings. So your job to do is, instead of acting on your feelings, buying into your feelings, put pencil to the paper, pen to the paper, and write it out. You can also type it. That's okay too. But you need to get it out of you so you can see it and then read it out loud. And if you have a therapist, read it out with your therapist. If you have a partner, don't read it out to them until they're really good at hearing this kind of stuff. And they can never be good at hearing this kind of stuff if you're not really good at coming back to the love at the end. And if they're not really good at dealing with their feelings, because you have to have an understanding that negativity is not really who a person is. And you only learn that primarily through you understanding your negativity is an illusion. And that there's a wounded child who's just acting out here and doesn't understand how to heal the past. The healing of the past is what allows you to be in present time. And it's paradoxical. People are ignoring their past. That's why the whole idea of positive thinking works for some people. It doesn't work for everybody, because some people, like the woman who did the movie, the what's it called? The Secret, which was so popular. The Power of Attraction. I'm in that movie as well. The Power of Attraction only works, from the place of having belief and positivity if you've also suffered a lot. You see, before she did that, she was, had all these emotional problems. She still has emotional problems, but she went to the depths of the dark night of the soul. It was just, she was despair, suicide. She was, when women don't eat anymore, this whole psychological problems, and she was depressed, and all this emotional stuff was taking over her life. Then she started doing affirmations and thinking positive. And so from that place of having felt all that stuff, having it come up, then when you do affirmations, they really work, because you've got to feel the emotions of what you're affirming, the positive. So if I'm affirming I deserve to be loved just the way I am, you have to fully feel the emotions of why do I want to be here? I hate myself. I don't deserve anything. I'm not worthy of anything. Why do I even bother? All these deep emotions. And the way you put the context, instead of just feeling it, you use this efficiently, is you go back to situations in your past where you give yourself permission to be a victim towards those who have mistreated you. And even if it's irrational, maybe your parents were perfect, but you felt your stuff, you need to pretend that it's real, because the emotions are there. What are those emotions about? Just like a child who's upset, you look at yourself. My child is saying, I never want to, one of my children was saying, the boys were making fun of me. They're looking up my dress. She was like 7 years old, and, and making fun of me. It's going to be fine one day. This is not a big deal, but you're not going to give her advice like, oh, one day those boys will be in love with you, and so that's just who they are. You don't give the child a big explanation. Instead, what you do is, I understand you're scared. Tell me more about what you're afraid of, and tell me more. You're angry with them. It's okay to be angry with them. You have a right to be angry with them. Well, let's say it. I'm angry. They're laughing at me and making fun of me, and I don't like that at all, and I want them to stop. She's, yes, and I don't ever want to wear pants. I don't want to wear a dress again. I won't do that again. I said, okay, what else do you feel? Well, I'm afraid. And she cried, and she's sad. I feel alone. I don't understand. And I tell her, I said, it's okay, honey. I love you so much. It's going to be all right. And then the next day she put on a dress again. She had somebody around her that knew this wasn't such a big deal, but didn't say to her, this is not a big deal. You can't say that, because then you're pushing down the emotions. So, and the parent knows it's an illusion, but first you have to hear the emotions. Then you say to the child, and everything's going to be okay. It's like one of my children was afraid of Dracula coming in, and it was too early to hear these ideas, scary stories like that. And so she's afraid. And I said, I understand you're afraid Dracula will come in. I didn't say there's no Dracula here. I just said, yes, this can be very, very scary. I understand. And if it comes in, I'll protect you. And I'm going to put my field of white light around the house so Dracula can't come in. And so she's in the state of suggestion, a young child. So she goes, oh, okay, daddy's got to be protected with a field of white light around the house, and done. Everything is fantasy for children. They don't have logic developed yet. So they need a parent who understands everything positive is going to happen here. And actually there's a reality to putting out the white light around the house to protect you. There's a reality. If you truly feel you are safe, and and you live that, and you're not suppressing your fears, you are safe. But the problem is that all of our beliefs are often just covering whipped cream on top of cow dung. You got to get down into your stuff, process it, and not buy into it. And that's how you heal your past. It's got to come up. But the way it comes up is it doesn't come up saying, hey, I'm your past. And when it does come up saying, hey, it's my past, then it's a little easier. What you then do is you go in there, and you don't use that to justify choices and decisions in your life. You use that to process and come back to love. You recognize that, okay, I'm in touch with my feelings of victimness. Don't use that in present time, but use it to process my feelings. When everybody's feeling their victimness and they're out there saying, I'm mistreated, they're just growing pathways in their brain to always look at what's wrong in my life. They're giving more reality to their feelings. You've got to see that, yeah, the world is a crappy place. The world will mirror what you think, without a doubt. If you feel like I'm mistreated all the time, you are. There's no doubt about it. But all you're going to do is make it worse by continuing to resist it. What you do instead is look behind the resistance are these emotions, and the emotions, you have to be aware of them. You have to feel the pain of them, and you have to let it go. And that's hard to do. Why? Because everything that got us to this point as human beings is about avoiding pain. You don't do things that cause pain. And now we're saying choose your pain, take it inside, don't buy into it, but feel it and feel the emotion, identify the emotion. And that's very important to give a label to the emotion and then express what happened to trigger that emotion and why is that emotion there, because it's not what I want. And that would be the negative emotion. I'm angry about it. I'm sad about it. I'm afraid about it. I'm guilty about it. I feel bad about it. Even though feeling bad can be completely irrational, because when you have this more rational brain, often that keeps you from feeling your guilt. But you can always feel guilt for feeling angry at something. If you're angry with somebody, you are always a part of the problems that you have in your life. And one of the wonderful things that's happened in my life now is I sort of pride myself in never being angry, and I convert it right into frustration. But then I realized I was fooling myself, and I can say, well, I'm not angry. I'm just frustrated about this. I realized I am angry about it. See, anger is such a primitive, low-level emotion. I sort of felt above that. But and in my relationship with my partner, I was frustrated with something she wanted me to do on the computer whenever, and I said frustrated. Then I realized actually I'm feeling angry and I want to apologize for it. I'm so sorry. I feel angry about this, and it's so wrong of me. Please forgive me. See, so and what's interesting is then Noah, and she said, "Oh, I forgive you. I forgive you." If you apologize for your negative emotions, it makes it so easy for you to let go of them, because you're owning that this is not the real. This is a movie show. This is not reality. You don't deserve me to be angry with you, and to be able to just go right into, if you're feeling whatever you're feeling, and not try to hide it and be positive. And everybody's trying to be positive, and yet civilization has brought so much safety into our lives. It just brings up so much stuff. And if we don't understand this, we want to go back. We want to go back in time to being primitive, being angry about things, not being able to communicate about things, to justify not loving each other and so forth, and end up going, I don't care about anybody. I'll just be alone. I can't trust anybody. So I'll go through those basic emotions again. And I've done on many of my videos, you've seen me in the past, I've demonstrated, going through feeling letters and so forth. And I want to create a course where I give lots of examples and people leading people through it. That's what I used to do in my seminars. And COVID is now basically, the lockdowns have stopped. I started doing these Thursday talks because there's a lockdown. I couldn't go out and teach my seminars. So basically that whole series of doing these talks is coming to an end. I'm basically going to be doing a lot of new exciting things at my website, and I won't be doing these classes anymore. I've also been threatened due to my COVID ideas that are in all my talks. So due to censorship, some of these talks are being taken off. I don't need that to happen. And certainly there'll be some talks that we'll keep on Facebook, we'll keep on YouTube, but we'll be taking off a lot of my talks during this time that talk about what the government is saying is misinformation and so forth, which I don't think is misinformation at all. But anything that might create any hesitancy for somebody to do a vaccine, like 400,000 people are reported on VAERS to have had serious side effects of taking the vaccination. And once again, putting that in the perspective, well, it's 400,000 people, except there's been millions who've taken the vaccination who didn't have serious complications. So putting it in that perspective. But if you're not, you shouldn't be mandated. I'm completely against mandation. This is like absurd. We have our freedom, and they're trying to erode our freedom. And what they did with all the shutting down, they're doing it in Australia and places. They shut down everybody's small business, except they let the big businesses stay open. Yeah, the big businesses and the little businesses are going out of business, and giving money out to people rather than having people go to work. Now they're not going to work. If you get free money, why work? Why not retire? So there's a lot of crazy stuff happening today, and I talk about it. I can't not talk about it because it's in my mind. and I'm sharing, and it completely relates to what I'm doing, but it also is now considered misinformation, and lots of my talks will be taken off. But what I want you to do is, because we won't be having these Thursday talks anymore, is make sure that you go to MARSVENUS.com and sign up on our mailing list. MARSVENUS.com. If you go there, first thing, you can get my best course, How to Get Everything You Want in Your Relationship, and take that course. It's free. So that's the first step. And the second one is make sure to get on our mailing list, so that we're got a lot of cool stuff in the pipeline for you that's going to be really great, and that will become available at some point. But it's time for me to move on from giving these weekly talks. And also, a lot of them won't be available simply because even the repeats of it. I know a lot of you have enjoyed being able to see what you missed and so forth, but they're starting to be taken off due to misinformation and censorship. Certainly some of them I don't do talk about misleading information, so they'll stay up there for you. And I can say anything I want on my website, so you can come and hear me at my website, but make sure you sign up on the list. We've got really new, exciting things in the pipeline. And right now, as I've told you over and over and over, as for women, my daughter's course, How to Get Everything, it's How to Get Your Me Time, which is how to be happy and fulfilled without depending on your partner. Such a practical course. We get huge rave reviews. We're having a new free course at MARSVENUS.com called Understanding Men. It's a preview of a course that Lauren is putting together. I'm editing it, discussing, working with her, but she's putting it together. I've got things I'm now working on. So it's all changing. Life is changing now, but this time of meeting with you on Thursdays, it's a time to say it's not going to happen anymore. Moving on. Life is a process of letting go and moving on. And so this is something I've thoroughly enjoyed this time. And there'll be more is coming in the future, and I'm looking forward to that. Just make sure that you're on my mailing list so I can let you know what we have available for you. And I'm seeing now, oh, we'll miss you so much. I agree. So sad about ending these talks. I'll miss them so much. I'm going to miss these talks so much. It's wonderful to hear your love. I feel it. Thank you so much. Nahal said, it's been absolute joy being with you every Thursday. I watch your videos again and again all the time, and each time I learn something new. Thank you so much. I've learned so much about relationships. I'll miss these talk. Yeah, I mean, look at it. So how can Zuckerberg, I didn't vote for Trump, okay? So don't get me as a big Trump person, but basically Zuckerberg censors the president of the United States. I mean, do people get that? What's going on here is censorship. Anyway, there are going to be other people coming forth with other social media things. That has to happen at some point. Thank you, John. Very sad. Wow, horrible. Thanks to this crap government. Thank you. I will sign up and grateful for sharing your time and wisdom, and I admire and respect you. Respect is what is needed. So sad. I'm your admiring great fan. And remember, I'm that neighbor that could have been in Brentwood, California, Northern California. Anyway, say some bad things. And this is something to process, okay? I get it. That I had to process this as well. And a feeling of abandonment, I'll share, my feeling of abandonment happened so much when my wife Bonnie died, and I decided for today I'd wear the shirt I was wearing when she was dying, and I say goodbye to her. And I remember waking up that morning saying, honey, I got all dressed up for you. And she said, yes, you look so handsome. And then after that, a few hours later, she died. It was really the worst thing that ever happened to me, is the death of my wife. And I miss her so much. And so I feel those emotions. I go into them. I get angry at there was a whole deal with the medical doctors who wouldn't do what I wanted. I wanted them to take the tumor out. It's a 2-minute procedure. Not a big deal. It was blocking her ability to digest. She was already healing the rest of her body, but they wouldn't do it without doing all these huge doses of chemotherapy, which she didn't choose to do. I said, just take the tumor out. You would do it for somebody else, you know. And it was just a little tumor, but it blocked her digestive channel, so she couldn't eat. That's how she starved to death. So sad. I'm so afraid the pain will never go away. That's where the fear is. But see, I knew 99% of all that pain was bringing up stuff from my childhood and my past. And so I had to go back to my feeling of being, when I was abandoned. I thought I'd never see my mother again. It was just a mistake. And I was away from my mother for 7 days. And if you've watched my other videos, I've shared that story with you, but I had to process that something really bad happened in my life at that time. And it triggered those feelings that came up, and they are now triggered again. And the feeling is, when I'm a child growing up, I have to feel that part of me that's abandoned, that's alone, that's angry. I'm angry with my brothers for telling me that it's okay for me to go to Aunt Inie's house and that everybody's going to go. It's Disneyland. And my brothers are always trying to get at me. You know, they were very jealous of me. And that was because 4 older brothers who were all punished for things. And my parents decided never to punish me because punishment wasn't working. And I was an experiment. And so they were always jealous of that, even though nobody ever said that, but they knew that that was going on. And so then they were going to get at me that way. And so I was away from my mother for 7 days, and I thought I'd never see her again. And I remembered the moment of the traumas when I went to I said, I'm just going to go back anyway. And I got to the end of the street. I'm going to go home. I'm going to find my way. And I realized the road went 3 different directions. I didn't know where to go. And so I didn't know what to do. And I said, okay, I'll just be a good boy. Maybe they'll send me home someday. And I turned around and walked back. That moment created such a trauma. I had to relive that and fully feel that and know how I was feeling. And as an adult now, being able to go back to that part of me. And you can see, I can still feel those tender feelings of a little boy. I felt inadequate and the pressure. But having healed that for 9 months, going over that again and again and again, and then coming back to imagining my mother saying, I'm so sorry, everything's going to be okay now. It was our mistake, but I'll never let you go away like that again. I'll always be here for you. I had to imagine her saying that to me, and then me exploring how that would have made me feel, if she'd been able to do those things. Then it would have made me feel like, oh, okay, now I'm safe. Now mom knows. Now mom knows I'm too young to send away like that. I need her. So those are feelings that are deep inside. And for me, that was my journey. And because that part of me was frozen, it was locked up because it was just, everything gets repressed. When it finally came up and I'm able to process it all with love and forgive my brothers and feel safe again and so forth, and imagine getting the support I needed at the time. After 9 months of, probably 9 months of doing that exercise again and again and again, then all my anxiety in my life went away. And I used to have really huge anxiety. If I was, before giving a talk, I was so nervous and so uncomfortable, and it went away. I never had it since. I mean, this is truly healing. All of our defense mechanisms and so forth, and low self-esteem and anger and all that dramatically goes away when you practice healing the past. But see, just feeling your love helped me bring up more of my own feelings about ending this. But this is time, time to move on. This is time for me to move on. This is too risky for me. So I'm sad to hear this, making me sad. We love you, John. We'll be with you whenever you go. So please go to MARSVENUS.com and sign up so you can find out what happens in the future. We do have exciting things in the pipeline. This lifetime has been precious. So beautiful to hear your sharing. Looking forward to joining the Mars Venus website. Thank you for being transparent. Love you, John. Keep going. You bring joy to this world, and I hope I can meet you in person. God is working through you. You're a wonderful person. It's a blessing to hear you every Thursday, and I'm sad but happy you have spoken the truth. I will continue to follow you. Thank you so much. Do you feel pain like that never fully heals? I appreciate the the lives and different viewpoints, no censorship. So do I feel pain like that? Never. The symptoms of our pain, which inhibit our ability to fully express our full potential, become less and less and less. And the great thing about it is, I've got stacks of feeling letters. I don't have to write them anymore. If I needed one, I could just read one, because it's the same stuff, but I have greater awareness that it's my stuff. It's my stuff. And it's about this, and it's about this in my past. There's, maybe like 50 different traumas that I've worked on in my past, but mainly just the main ones is the time where I was abandoned by my mother, and then around puberty. Again, these are these turning points. This is, in my book, How to Get Everything You Want, we look at there's various stages, 7-year cycles that we go through. And the first, around 7 years old, is where I had this abandonment issue with my mother. And then around 13 or 14, maybe 12, actually. Or no, it was probably 13. I wanted to commit suicide because my dad, he lost a lot of money. He didn't realize it. I didn't know it. I just a kid. And he owed me money from doing the lawn work and making good grades. And I had this little bank book, and I was saving up the money. And then I wanted to buy a go-kart, double engine go-kart. I remember that. And he said, well, I don't have the money. Actually, I don't remember as a child him saying, I don't have the money. What I hear him saying is, well, you can't have that money. And that's how I heard it. Probably he said, I can't pay you now. And then I got in an argument with him. Why? That's my money. You should pay me, whatever. You promised. And what I do remember him saying was, why don't I can't keep every promise. And then he walked out of the room, and I was so mad at him. And I was actually so deeply hurt that my father can't keep his promise. This was like devastating to me at that time. And I was so mad. I didn't understand that he had lost a lot of money in the stock market at that point. He couldn't give me this money I needed. It wasn't like he was saying I'd never get it, because I eventually did get it. But I made a big deal out of it as a kid. I threw a tantrum. I was mad. I was so mad at him. I want him to feel really bad. I want to punish him. And so what did I do? That's one of the symptoms of our pain, is we're angry, then we want to punish somebody. So I'm going to punish him by making him feel really bad. I took a bottle of poison and drank that bottle of poison. We had chloroform, which would, sometimes the cats would sleep. Sometimes the cats would sleep under the tires of the cars at our house, and they'd be accidentally run over, and it was horrible. And so you have a cat which is dying, and my parents would put a chloroform on a little cotton ball and put them to sleep, and they would die that way. It would kill them. And so I knew about chloroform, this poison. So I took that bottle of chloroform, and I put half of it into a rag, and I started sniffing it, and it didn't kill me. So it was weird. So then I just drank the bottle and went to sleep. Anyway, so I had digestive problems till I was 21. Okay, so, and headaches and everything from that. So I definitely learned the hard way that you don't punish others by punishing yourself. That's a foolish thing we do. And ironically, we still do it. These are the symptoms of our unprocessed pain. When somebody hurts us, we feel rejected by them. We reject them back. Okay, when you reject back, what are you doing? You're killing yourself. Whenever you reject anybody that you love, it's the greatest pain that there is to push away the people that you love, because you love them. And to stop loving them is to keep you from being who you are, this loving person. And that's why we feel so hurt. It's so much painful when somebody rejects us. Not so much their rejection, it's just us rejecting them back. When we reject back, we're denying who we truly are. We're disconnecting from our own love. We're letting them control us to keep loving. So that was like one of the big turning points for me. And then there was one around when I was around 20 years old. I had another big trauma, which was anyway. It was another one. I'm not going to go through those, but there's every 7 years there's certain big traumas, but there's a lot of traumas in between and whatever, and disappointments and losses, and they've happened throughout my life. It's like the Buddha said, everybody's got issues that you're go through, and that losing money thing, feeling betrayed, someone breaking a promise. That's been a theme in my life. And when it happens, I can process it better. And when it happens, it's bigger too. It's kind of like when I had a lot of money, I wanted to buy an island and build a wellness center there, a vacation center for people to take classes on relationships and health and wellness and so forth. It was all a great idea. And a developer came to me and showed me this thing, and you can do this and you pay for it this way, but we just need, $3 million to get it started. So, I took my savings and I put it into that. I put everything into my work. And then he ends up selling that island, not just to me, but to 2 billionaires who then sued him and threw me out of the whole thing and lost that money. So, life throws it's again, I want my go-kart, and then but you owe me. Well, he never paid me. And so I had to process it again, but I could process it again. It didn't devastate my life. I have a career. I can handle it. I can move on. But it was a dark night of the soul for me. It was like such a blow to feel abandoned by God, because at that point it was, I just feel so supported by God and the universe and everything, and have that happen. But it triggered those feelings again, and I was able to process it. Now I have abundance again in my life, and also I learned I have no grandiose ideas. I don't need to manage an island and a big wellness center and health center. That's somebody else's destiny. They can invite me to do it. See, one person is not here to do it all. We all have our different roles, and I had to learn that. And another trauma for me is when I stopped being a monk and I came back to California, and my brother was bipolar and meditation didn't heal that. So I was coming back from California to learn new psychology. That put me in the field of psychology. I was here, this great TM teacher, transcendental meditation, and my picture was in 3,600 centers. I taught teacher training programs. I was the assistant to the Maharishi. I had all these beautiful spiritual experiences. It was very fulfilling for me, but my brother was bipolar and it didn't do the trick for him. And I tried. So then I thought, okay, I'll go to California and to learn this new psychology things they were doing there. And maybe that would help my brother. It didn't help. And he eventually committed suicide himself. I had to process that. But in the process of learning psychology, I first went out there and I'm expecting, I hardly had any money. I was a monk, I had to fly out to California and kind of expecting God to deliver somebody, and nothing. I didn't know what was going to happen, and nothing happened. And so I ended up being homeless for a while and living on the beach, and it was cold and it was horrible. And it's a big story, but it was a trauma of feeling, where are you, God? What happened? How come I'm doing something good? Why am I not getting support? Well, the support was there. I just had to make use of it. Finally, I suffered enough to call my mother and say, Mom, would you help me? And she said, I'll help you if you get a job. I said, well, first I need to, my brother was a computer programmer. I said, I'll go to programmer school and then get a job with him. She said, okay, and I'll support you through that. So it reminds me of a sweet story of the man who was, there's a big storm coming and a hurricane and a flood and the waters are rising, and he prays to God and says, God, help me. And as the waters are rising, people are saying, evacuate. He says, no, I don't need to evacuate. God will save me. And then it gets higher and higher. And now he gets on the roof of his house and somebody comes by in a boat and says, come get in the boat, save yourself. And he says, no, God will save me. And then it gets higher and higher. He's at the top of the roof. He's going to drown soon. And a helicopter comes, a rope comes down. And he says, sir, climb onto the rope. We'll take you away. And he says, no, God will save me. And then the man drowns and he goes to heaven and says, God, why didn't you save me? And God says, I gave you the warning. I gave you the boat. I gave you the helicopter, and you didn't listen. So we have to be practical in our belief about God will provide. And because the universe does provide, but we have to be practical in our belief, and we have to clearly understand that things that don't feel good happen to us because we need to look more within ourselves to remove the blocks that keep us from expressing our full and glorious potential to fulfill our destiny and our journey in this lifetime. And of course, my belief is you have many, many lifetimes, and this lifetime, our soul has the potential to grow so much, and then come back again, you get more lessons. And the good thing about it all is that the more you're aligned with your true self, the more you can experience that the world is always guiding and supporting me. If you could take one day where you're feeling really good about yourself, and on that day when you're feeling really good about yourself, look back into your past and feel gratitude for all the things that have happened, because you would have never gotten to this point in your life where you feel so good about yourself. That one day, I used to teach this 6-day course, and at the end we had this big party where everybody imagines themselves 5 years in the future, and we talk about all the things that we've done in the past, and then you talk about how grateful you are for all the not good things in your past, because you could have never become the person you are today. And that's a really good thing to do, is when you're feeling good about yourself in life, to feel gratitude for those things, and not grateful that it happened, but grateful for how you grew from it, grateful from the wisdom that you gained. And then at a certain point, and for certain things, so glad it happened. I mean, for example, my first wife, I was married to Barbara DeAngelis for a couple of years before I married my wife, Bonnie. I wanted to marry Bonnie. And that relationship, she said I wasn't ready, so we ended that relationship. I married Barbara 2 years later. Then that ended. She fell in love with somebody else. I had to process that. That was a huge processing. And then I healed, called up Bonnie, and had to be with her, and I knew she was my soulmate, and she knew that I was her soulmate and that I was ready. And we lived happily ever after for 34 years, and was able to have our 4 children, our 3 children, 4 grandchildren, but also all these books. These are the results of that, the healing of that process. Every one of these books is not that I read in somebody else's book. It's my journey, and learning how to heal the past will bring new wisdom, motivation, clarity, allow you to fulfill what you're here to fulfill. There's of course, the Men Are From Mars book is what I'm really known for, but along the way, there's now the Beyond Mars and Venus, this book, which is really necessary to upgrade, update Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus, is Beyond Mars and Venus. And then I've got the Book of Days up there. If you want to read something every day, I've got the Book of Days. I've got, a very in-depth book about relationships, which is Mars and Venus Together Forever. I think that's up here. This is Mars and Venus Together Forever. It was an updated version of this book over here, my first book I wrote on relationships, which is Men, Women, and Relationships. And then there's, for people in business, I've got one called Mars, Venus in the Workplace. So good to understand men and women, how they interact in the workplace and misinterpret each other in the workplace. It's so important. My book, Children Are From Heaven, is right over here. That's another resource you have. And even if you don't have children, if you do have children, it's really great, very practical. But if you don't have children, it's an amazing book to read, or your children have grown up, just to know what it is we all missed out on as children, what the world one day will provide for children. Never being punished, but never being spoiled. On one side, people punish and that to control children. On the other side, they don't control children. They control children's feelings by indulging them and letting children have too much power. Parents should always have the power so children don't feel that weight of responsibility. Mars, Venus in the bedroom. You've heard me talk a lot about sex, how sex is so powerful, and monogamy and intimacy, romance. But you have to have the bedroom skills, and it's understanding how men and women are different in the bedroom. And sometimes it's not appropriate for me to teach, but it's in that book written out. You go more in depth. And there's Mars, Venus on a Date. Mars, Venus on a Date. Anybody who's, not in a relationship, this is a great book, because not only, and if you don't feel like you want to be in a relationship right away, it's still a good book to read, because it will tempt you to get in a relationship, because you'll have new skills. Because so many of our problems in relationship is we don't know another way to do what didn't work in the past, another way to do what didn't work in the past. Then you have hope. And when you have hope, your heart opens and we're motivated and so forth. And if you've been in a hurtful relationship or a dream ended, you know, the book Mars and Venus Starting Over. I don't know if I see it up there, but it's yeah, I'm looking around for it. And Mars and Venus Starting Over. Yeah, I don't see that one there, but it's really excellent for both men and women. When you've ended a relationship or there's a loss of a loved one, you know, you have to begin again. And so many great processes in that book. Oh, it's right here. You know, as far as how to heal the past is actually the most profound book. It's a thick book because it has so many exercises in it that you can do and insights on actually the depth of healing the past. A simpler version of that is the very first book I wrote, which is What You Feel You Can Heal. And again, I'm not there it is right there. What You Feel You Can Heal. A bunch of hearts, little puzzle pieces putting back together the heart, because we can all heal ourselves. And it has cartoons. It's really easy. And it has the basic fundamentals of what I've just talked about today. And it's really good to read these things as well as to hear it spoken. It's excellent. So that's so many resources that you have. And now you know because many of you have been listening to me every Thursday. And when you read those books, you'll hear my voice because you know me. And it's really quite comforting. I read my book sometimes before these talks. I look at some of the things and I go, oh, wow, you know, that's me. And I kind of go, how did I even say that? Really, it's my experience. I don't really know how I wrote these books because it all just comes through. But I'm really grateful to have been a channel for all of this wisdom and to continue bringing that to you, because, you know, we're not going to be doing the Thursdays anymore. But we will be providing things at my website, MARSVENUS.com, and some of the videos that I've done with you, because they could be labeled the misinformation and some censorship, it will no longer be available. But you'll always have me at my website, MARSVENUS.com, where I can say whatever I want. Okay, so I'm going to read some of your comments as we're going to kind of close early today and saying goodbye. And I appreciate you all saying thank you and goodbye, and maybe what you've learned in our series of talks here. So here's someone says, thank you for being there, doing what you do. I can't believe this is the last time we'll get to be together. I miss you, John, your energy, your insights, your wisdom. Thank you for everything you've provided in the past year. I gave my son men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Thank you for because he's a wonderful son. Yes, he must be. It would take years to absorb all those gems. We'll miss you every week. Thank you for helping us and being supportive. Lena says, MarsVenus.com gift. You click on that gift, and that's where you get the how to get everything you want free course. Oh no more Thursdays. Lots of love, lots of sadness. Bye. Please put all your books on Audible. I bought everything you have recorded. It helps so much that you read. Yeah, I did this book, Beyond Mars and Venus, is on Audible, and that's really good. I'll check that out and see if I can do that. You can still get online and say hello like everyone too, though not like everyone. That's so sweet. I'll remember that. That sounds good. I'll keep you updated on what we're doing over at MarsVenus.com and come over here on Facebook. That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that. Doesn't mean I'll never come back on this. And will you continue giving nutritional advice? You know, I lost my count doing that. We're going to do a more edited version of that, the nutritional videos that we'll do. But you should all know I do have the wellness book, and I give protocols in there for most of the questions anybody ever asked me on wellness. It's actually in the wellness book, and the store will link to that. And we won't be selling products anymore, but we'll be linking to people that I think are a good source of the products that I recommend. I think I'm pretty safe there. And the Mars Venus Wellness Solution, which is no longer available, it is coming back. It is coming back. We'll keep you updated on that, let you know when that happens. It's so exciting that the samples of it are just spectacular, just because it has no sugar in it. Sugar is such a great thing to overcome the tastes of all these ingredients. You know, these are all nutritional supplements ingredient, and it's just such an improved version. We've done a lot of stuff with the gut, because now we're learning how the gut is so important. I have that product Bravo yogurt at my website. I'll probably still continue to have that. It's such an important thing for gut health, but I've got a lot of really good probiotics, new probiotics, where research has been done showing how they're so beneficial to heal the gut. Now, it's interesting, you know, when I talk about ivermectin, which is 32 studies showing that it stops COVID, boom, for most people, then you look into what is ivermectin. A guy got a Nobel Prize for discovering, it was a Japanese doctor who discovered a probiotic. It's a probiotic that they were able to patent, as opposed to a probiotic you can't patent, which is all of these probiotics that are natural. So they were able to manufacture that probiotic and put a patent on it. And it's really just ivermectin. It's a probiotic. And the way they online, they want to, for people that do hear about ivermectin, they've got all this stuff. Oh, it's a parasite for, you know, it kills parasites in horses or something. No, it's been used by 2 billion people in the world. It's one of the safest drugs. And to me, it's not even a drug now. I realize it's a probiotic, which you can take, and 3 or 4 days, it helps your body to eliminate viruses. It's an amazing discovery. You know, I might even, for fun, next time, because I have it, in case it recurs or whatever. If I had the flu, I'll try it as well, see what happens there. You know, probiotics are so fantastic. And the new MARSVENUS shake will have these amazing probiotics. It's ketogenic, which means there's absolutely no sugar in it, which is so good. But to make it taste good is a whole dance of interaction. And so Sue from Ukiah says, love you. Sorry to hear no more of these long talks. Yes, that would be great to get your check-in on Facebook sometimes. Yep. What I've learned, I think I can safely say I've grown into a much more mature person thanks to your guidance. Helena says, MARSVENUS Wellness Solution. Can't wait for the new and improved products. Love them all. Thank you. You're the best. We'll continue to follow you. Nahal's come to our talks every time, so I'm going to read her whole acknowledgement here. Hi, John. My name is Nahal, and I'm 40 years old, female from Melbourne. Oh, my gosh, Melbourne, what they're doing with the vaccination. Oh, it's so crazy, the shutdown right now. I found you and your work in my search to try and understand why I haven't yet found love, and more importantly, what I can do to find it and keep it. Amazingly, though, in my search for true love, what I found was myself. And this is so important. Because of your wisdom, your generosity, and pure heart, what I found on my journey to love was self-love, healing, and inner peace. I would still love to find my soulmate, but because of you, my search is no longer coming from neediness and lack. Beautiful. But from a place of love, abundance, a desire to share my joy, and a gratitude for all a man can give me. Words will never be enough for me to express endless gratitude to you, John. Thank you with all my heart. Thank you. Thank you for your teachings. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your vulnerability, your courage, your generosity. You are a true healer. Because of you, I'm now a better version of myself. In fact, I am now myself. You are my hero. I have learned so much from you. For example, that I'm responsible for my own happiness. I can pivot and try something else to always come back. Let me see if I can adjust this. In fact, I now know myself. You're my hero. I've learned so much from you. For example, that I'm responsible for my own happiness if things don't work. I can pivot and try something else to always come back to balance and to use my imagination to heal my childhood wounds. Wow, so beautiful. Thank you, John. I haven't yet met my soulmate, but I'm sure now that he's on his way. The ocean in my heart is still, so much so that I can hear my inner guidance clearly, which tells me to never give up. My faith is strong. Thank you for sharing your authentic self with the world. We, as humans, are so deeply connected. As I get older, I realize this to be my very truth, my new truth. Watching you be your loving, authentic self and seeing the impact you have had on me and the world only inspires me to give all of my love to the world too. Thank you always. Sending you so much love, Nahal. That's so beautiful, Nahal. And thank you for joining me on the Thursdays. I always see you coming in. Vicky says, so I need to learn about the healing you did for Parkinson's. I started to get a tremor. How can I get information? If you go to Mars Venus Wellness Solution, you'll see tremors and Parkinson's, and you have all the information there on the supplements that I found to be healthy, the research, links to the research showing those supplements help people. Also, even a clinic, that if you can afford it, that a doctor will work with you on it. But I think you're at the early stages, so the suggestions I have will probably work for you. So that's in my book. John, it's a compound produced by fermentation by probiotics. Oh, they changed the compound a little bit to enhance its action. So somebody's now explaining what ivermectin is. It's a compound produced by fermentation by probiotics. They changed that compound a little bit to enhance its action. Okay, so I still don't know exactly what it is, and clearly you've explained it a little bit more. So it's not a straight probiotic. Didn't know it was Japanese who discovered it. Yeah, there's a scientist, he got a Nobel Prize for it. And Helena's replying to Vicki Lynn, store at marsvenus.com. You can ask questions there. Pure Heart, yes, what she said, so beautiful. Stephanie says, your Thursday talks have been what I needed so much during this specific time period in my life, and you've helped me become a better woman and mother and a more loving person. Sometimes listening to you has felt like a dream or a gift straight from God. Love you so much, Stephanie. And I felt that way too. It's always been this very, very uplifting thing for me. And I'm just so glad that we all had this chance to share during the time of COVID, where there's so much stress in the world and so much fear in the world, and people being locked down, to be able to have this time together has been a gift to me as well. Thank you. Somebody's saying to Nahal, beautiful, beautiful. Love you, John. You're my friend. I'm here for you to text me. Blanca says that. Janice, hi. And Janice says, thank you for everything, John. Justine says, thank you for helping me to shift my perspective on love, life, and health. I'm holding you in my thoughts every day, and thank you for the life transforming session you provided for me. Love and light. John, do you know Bob Cowart or Robert Cowart from a Transcendental Meditation? The names sound familiar. That time in my life is a little bit like a past life. As a Mars Venus teacher, I met millions of people, so that's literally like a past life for me. But I'm sure if I met them again, I would remember them. The names are familiar. Don't censor, keep the lives, someone says. Thank you, John, for all you are. Grateful I found you. Blessings for the future. Can't wait to get your books. We'll be signing up on your website. That's great, Bonnie. Glad to have you join our wonderful group of people that we do our blogs for and our online programs. This is going to be great. So you're awesome. Keep speaking truth in all its forms. So we've done a little over an hour today, and we talked about healing the past. Let me do a conclusion. It's been an honor for me to share these Thursdays with you. I didn't even realize it was going to go on this long, but it has, and it's been great. I talked a little about some of my books over here. One I didn't mention also is The Boy Crisis. It's such an important book for parents to understand what's going on with their boys. A lot of other books up there you can see, one on ADHD. That was also very, very nutritional, a lot about nutrition. Here's one only about conscious men. It's how a man can be more conscious of who he is, and how women can help a man be more conscious of who he is, as women can understand men better. It's called Conscious Men. I think the mistaken titling could have been for women, how to find a conscious man, or how to be a conscious man, something like that. Because it doesn't seem like it's for women, but every chapter has sections for women, how to bring out the best in men, understanding men's needs, who they are. Because men don't always understand ourselves, and that helps men to become more conscious of themselves, the best parts of them. And we took a lot of time focusing on what my Mars Venus coaches talk about, which is in our previous sessions on how to get everything you want. And then the book is how to get what you want and want what you have. And that's what we talked about, the 12 blocks and how to move through the 12 blocks. And I think that's some of the major books I've read. Others are, Mars Venus Diet and Exercise Solution. That was where I really went into how nutrition affects our brain and different brain hormones. It could have been Understanding Your Brain is really what the book's more about, how men and women's brains are different. Mars, Venus, and Love, several other books as well, but those are the main books that really touch people's lives. And I just wanted you to be aware that they're out there. They're wonderful books. And when you, having heard these talks, you'll hear my voice, because every word in those books is my voice, except for The Boy Crisis. Boy Crisis, I've shared that book with Warren Farrell, and he writes part of it and I write part of it. And then there's my book with Barbara Annis that's called Work With Me. And those words are not all mine, but hers and mine, and trying to blend. She was a strong feminist, a woman in a man's body, so to speak. And then she realized that she needed gender intelligence, and really is a beautiful woman who helps women go from being their alpha male self, coming back to the feminine side in the workplace, how to make the workplace a better place for yourself as well as for others. And that's a book for both men and women. So we reviewed our books today. We talked about maybe one of the most practical things besides understanding that men and women are different. And that's really important, understanding men, understanding women. I did a talk the other day on understanding men for women. And I said, the first thing you have to understand about men is that men do not understand women. You have to get that. There's no way he's going to understand you. The only way he can really connect with you is through your emotions and your vulnerability. And he doesn't know what he's doing, as far as he thinks he's doing the right stuff, because he doesn't understand women. And you think, why isn't he giving me what I want? It's so obvious. And that's why you have to understand first that men, you really don't understand women. And you have to speak in a language that men can understand to communicate your wishes and needs. And that way you train a man, not by telling him what to do, but asking him to do things for you. And then he gradually learns. Also, if you ever want a man to hear my videos, and the key video to watch is my TED Talk with the red shirt. It's called Mars Brain, Venus Brain. And it's really funny about relationships and men and women. And it's most men love it. They think it's great. And then they're open to the ideas. And then you could read Mars, Venus in the bedroom together. You could read Men Are From Mars together. If you haven't watched that video, you say, it's a really funny video on gender. You could say, not on relationships, because men get defensive, and so do women, by the way, about your partner telling you you need to know more about relationships. So I'll read a few more comments before we turn off here. Can't wait to get all your books. You're awesome. Keep speaking the truth. Hello, dear doctor. Sending love. Jane says, I found out that I'm to follow your work and continue the journey that I would not have realized without the Thursday talks. Thank you so much. Check out Dr. Gordon Neufeld's work for German New Medicine. I know his work. It's great. German New Medicine. People can check that out. I feel sad. I'll keep listening to your videos, though. I feel so sad. It was a blessing to interact with you with love and appreciation. Gender intelligence, a big smile. John, what are you working on right now? What are your future projects? Well, we will see. And I have some projects I'm working on. And that's why I want you to be in touch with my website, marsvenus.com, be on the mailing list, and we'll keep you informed on my new projects and new things that are coming my way. So the future is bright, and the awareness is coming onto the planet. Wearing masks is ironically helping us to become aware of the masks that we wear in our lives that keep us from being our authentic self. And the number one mask is to believe the authorities when they're lying to you. If you believe in an authority that lies to you, you lose your ability to be an adult. You become a child again. You see, the world is lying to you when it says you're not good enough, you can't achieve, you're in the wrong place, you're not getting what you need. The deception of the world is there, and we have to not let it determine our lives, but seek out those things that ring true to you. And what rings true to you is always that which takes away fear. And all the perpetual fear. And it's fun to listen to lies. It's just we need to know that it's fake news. We need to know that this is just a Greek drama, that this is not real. And then life is fun. Okay, then you have to realize it's not real. Then you can know what's true inside yourself to create your life in spite of the lack of reality out there. And this is what we talked about. Everything that upsets you, in conclusion of today, it's a trigger to help you find the truth within yourself, because we're all not fully aware of who we are, our magnificence, our greatness, our capacity to love, that the knowing of what we're here to do, our mission, our passions. All these things are buried inside of us, covered by the lies and deceptions that we have believed. And right now it's on TV every day. It's the belief that this is some big, terrible thing. The belief we have to stay in our homes. The belief that we have to put on masks. The belief we can't talk to others. There's a funny thing I saw in the news, Australia. Tragic, but you make a light of these things because it's just so insane, where the woman representative on TV in Australia is saying, and don't talk to your neighbors. Don't talk to your neighbors. So afraid of this taking off. And I know the logic of it is the thought that if we only have one case, if we can just eliminate that one case from spreading, then we're going to be free of this. You will never be free of a virus. Viruses spread. They go through the air. Masks do not stop them. You can postpone them by having people stay at home, but the virus doesn't go away. This is something your body learns to adjust to, adapt to. This is why having ivermectin is so good, because people who get COVID can now have natural immunity, and it's done. But you take the vaccination, you're going to keep doing the shots again and again and again. And this, by the way, is all creates vaccine hesitancy. So it's now labeled misinformation. And if this talk was to get out there, it would also be censored. So this is why I just can't hold myself back, at least when I'm talking with an audience, because the big lie that we're believing here, this is, you want to know how to heal the past, is to realize that the fear that you feel now going on, whether you're on the side of, I'm going to be mandated to vaccination and I don't want to do it because I know that there could be dangerous side effects. And the other side of it is, I've got the vaccination because I'm afraid other people are going to spread it, and I could die, and dangers out there, and have to be protected from the unvaccinated. All this fear is a trigger to help us go back into our childhood, to feeling our feelings of abandonment, our fears of failure, our fears of punishment, our fears of people not liking us, our fears of failing, our fears of not getting ahead, not having enough. Just to let this be the trigger, and don't buy into this being this big, horrible thing. It's about our reactions that we have control over. And this is how we find the fulfillment inside of ourselves. And the world will start to mirror that as we let go of the big lie. You know, I think these phrases have come into the consciousness, you know, the big lie. I'm not referring to whether or not Trump was elected or not. I'm talking about the big lie is COVID. This is the big lie. It's a dangerous virus for people who are sick, without a doubt. And there was treatment all along. You didn't need to have the vaccination. You didn't need to have so many people die. There was a treatment that they didn't let you take so they could make a big problem out of it. And now we can solve it with a vaccination, which temporarily has helped people. And I'm going to acknowledge that. But I also turn to the other side, and you wouldn't be needing boosters and the potential side effects, because it has killed 15,000 people and maybe 10,000 or 20,000 in Europe. We don't all know the exact numbers on these things, and horrible side effects for some people. And yes, it would be worth it having all those horrible side effects to save millions of people, except that whole time, you didn't need to have all those people die. You don't need to have people having any of those side effects if you would just do the therapies. And the therapies are there, and it's the people that question find the therapies. If they don't question and they just accept, they're like children. It's time to grow up. And people are going to grow up. They're going to recognize this is a big, big lie. Just like what's happening right now with Afghanistan. The whole Afghanistan war was a big lie. It was a big lie. We could never win. Russia tried to get them. They couldn't. We came in. Now China will come in and try and get them. And why? China certainly is not trying to create better life for the women. China's coming in for the same reason we came in. It's for the minerals. It's got the highest amount of silica, which is necessary for computers. It's got gold. It's got oil. It's got minerals. All these minerals that we need to make all of our industry and so forth. It's all in Afghanistan. Richest source of minerals. Iraq. Why do we go into that? Because it's the richest source of oil and has immediate accessibility. So many deceptions why we do stuff. We didn't go in for the women. I still remember the day we invaded Afghanistan. I was giving a talk at the University of Southern California, and I changed my talk to, "This is insanity. This is crazy. Why are we invading this country? This is nonsense, foolishness." And all the reasons why they give us all lies. They're going in for this. It's only going to create death, and it will never be successful. The Russians already tried it and they couldn't do it. And it's all just to steal their resources anyway, under the pretext that we want to make a life better for women. Okay. And I remember the women in the women professors said, "Bomb them, bomb them, bomb them. They were the worst." I'm not saying all women are that way. I'm just saying that they're easily fooled. Protect the women and children. So Mama Bear came out, but they were there wanting war. That's why I keep saying, people think if women ran the world, there would be no war. Are you kidding? They're just like men. We all are dysfunctional. We feel injured. We want to hurt back. We want to punish back. We want others to suffer. We rejoice in that as monkey people. And we're all animals. We have to learn to come up to love and never, ever indulge ourselves in stealing from people and controlling people and violence and doing all that stuff. And we sugarcoat it. We give reasons for it, justify it all, instead of realizing those tendencies are what we're here to transform in the human race, to bring the light and divine into our life. And that's all you can do is for you, primarily you. Look at how you react to these things and come back to love and let your life be better and not be responsible for other people. They have to grow up on their own. And you can help your hand up. If you're happy and fulfilled, you can hand a hand up. But what are we doing as America, such a troubled country right now? Why are we even thinking about other countries trying to change them? We should not be. We should not be. And yeah, it was good to get out of Afghanistan. The way they did it, of course, is awful. But we created that mess, and there was nothing gained, everything lost, because it could have never happened. It was us just pushing down, trying to control, instead of letting people work out their own things, providing help in ways we can, but not by war. Afghanistan was a massive failure, and they kept saying it's working. No, it was not working. And there was no reason to be there at all, except for the fact that a lot of people got rich. And they say we lost billions of dollars. We didn't lose billions of dollars, $1 trillion. We didn't lose that. It went right into the hands of the military industrial complex. It didn't go to them, but to us. Even when we go into other countries and we help them, we have America gives so much money to Kenya, say, that money doesn't go to Kenya. It goes to our corporations that now go into Kenya and build roads and so forth to get the oil. And I don't know if that's Kenya. That's just a generalization there, which is that there's corruptness. And yet at the same time, if I do too much of that talk, it makes it sound like I don't love America. And I've learned that now. I have to be careful. This is the land of the free. This is a great place. And yet when we don't have transparency, and we don't now, and this is a big problem, censorship, we don't have democracy. The world is a big mess, and there's some wonderful people on this planet, and you've got this Constitution of America that strives towards these high values, and they're just trying to tear it down now, taking away free speech, taking away the right to self-defense is so important. They figured that out for America, and we're the bastions for it. We're holding on to that right. Otherwise, tyrannical governments can take over, and you can already see their tyranny starting to take over, just push over, telling you have to stay home, telling businesses you have to close. This is insanity if you step back from what this is. And they slowly introduce you to it. Oh, just 2 weeks close down. Oh, just tell this. Oh, from that. I like what somebody just said. Millions of lives destroyed from last 2 wars, and now China's going to do it. I hope not. But it's scary. And then I let it go, knowing I'm okay. You're awesome. Heather, because those that have unfortunately died already had unhealthy lifestyle diet practice. And that's true. But having said that, this COVID thing is not such a big deal. They could have just taken a therapy and continued on in their lives. But it was only 80% of the people were obese, and 70% of the people, which would be part of those 80%, were just could have been obese, or they were just taking high blood pressure medicines. That's comorbidities. And usually when you're doing high blood pressure medicines, you're also doing a few others. And so it's like literally about 5 different drugs put you at a very high risk of dying unless you get treatment. And that's the important thing. Unless you get treatment, treatment is, it's just taking ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, making some adjustments, and knowing vitamin D. Everybody should have been massively tested for vitamin D right away. And then if your vitamin D levels are below 30, you can prophylactically, that means prevent getting sick by raising your vitamin D levels and simultaneously taking ivermectin as a prophylactic, a few pills every month. These treatments and therapies were there. And anytime you try to put that on, a doctor goes online and reports a study, it gets taken off right away. It's taken off right away. So these are the challenges we face today as we've given over power to, given away our democracy to these big Facebook and to YouTube and Google and all those people. They now can do what our government can't do. They can censor you. Government's not supposed to censor you. You actually think those companies are separate from our government? It's not that they've taken over our government. Our government uses them. They're just like their soldiers out there doing what they say they can't publicly do. Even though they're not publicly coming out saying we're telling Facebook what to do. Oh my gosh. It'd be worse because they try to be tougher. And man, the world is brutal. John, what was the reason for America coming to Afghanistan anyway? Well, I don't want to get into that whole subject. Such a deception and such a lie. But the reason was because of the minerals and the resources. That's what we wanted. And the subterfuge for that, which is Al-Qaeda had caves there. And so they were going and find Al-Qaeda. Well, you don't have to attack a country to find 12 guys. And then once we attacked them, we gave them popularity. They grew, they grew and they grew and they grew because we kept talking about how bad they were. They became bad. It's the same example. If you keep focusing on negativity, you just get more and more negativity. Absolutely. There was never any real danger from Afghanistan for us. There's danger in Afghanistan, but every country has tyrannical leaders, and there's problems, and there's crime, and and that's their problems. Let's focus on our problems. So, but America wanted to go in and get the mineral rights, basically, and Iraq is we want to go in and get the oil. That's the main reasons there. And they also wanted to create destabilization in that area because that's a whole military industrial complex. You basically, Saddam Hussein, before we took him out, he was a stabilizing influence in the area because he was always opposing Iran, and Iran was opposing him. You take out Saddam Hussein, and now the biggest suppressor of Iran that was keeping a stabilization there, gone. And it's all nonsense. I don't even like to talk politics like that because there's so much confusion and deception and lies on top of lies on top of lies. And it's all about manipulations. And the people are good because, as I'm saying that about Iran, so many wonderful people in Iran. They're just amazing. I went to Iran, I had 1,000 people sign up for my seminar, and then I got canceled. Because they went on my website, some Puritans, and saw that I was selling my book, How to Mars, Venus in the Bedroom. Oh, you can't talk about bedroom. So you got 1,000 signups, and there were more coming. That was just right away. So I have a big following in Iran. They're wonderful human beings. And then there's the people that are still, their lessons in life are to learn that punishing others is not a good thing. Controlling others is not a good thing. And it exists everywhere in the world. It's just, the human collective consciousness is trying to rise out of this state. And the only way you wake up is you suffer. Suffering's inevitable. And the more you resist, you're responsible for your suffering, the more suffering you will have. That's how it works. And there's different levels of lessons learned. And you see the people that listen to me, folks here, their lessons are more about how can I be more loving. For many people, it's how can I get food on the table? That's not my teaching. That's not what you're interested in if you're listening to these. That might be an issue for you, but it's not your major life lesson. For some people, it's just how to get food on the table, how to not kill people that you're jealous of. There's like different levels of consciousness, and the solutions for them are different. Well, I want to thank you. I'm starting to get too political here, which is my tendency to do, unless I'm listening to your problems and helping to solve your relationship issues. And we will have all these wonderful programs available. And I don't know if all of you know, but if you go to MARSVENUS.com, there's that course that I have. A new course is coming out. And then there's all of our beautiful blogs. So be on our mailing list. You'll be getting my messages in very concise, short videos. And I'm very impressed by them. They're quite wonderful. So thanks for joining me. I'm going to sign off now. I wanted to share how grateful I am. And as I see there, Helena's put up a sign. Thanks for joining us today. We hope to see you soon at MARSVENUS.com.